When a beloved young nursing aide goes missing, her loved ones are fearing the worst.
I felt like, something was off.
The more hours and minutes went by, the more worried we got.
The initial search uncovers chilling signs of foul play.
They noticed that there has been some type of violent struggle here.
As the investigation unfolds, secrets are exposed.
He had questions about his sexuality.
And a monster is revealed.
Quit playing with me!
He was very controlling. He had a history of abuse.
I felt that he had like an evil spirit.
But justice doesn't come easy.
He manages to make bond and is released from jail.
He had a new girlfriend and allegedly assaulted her.
You are a demon, you're evil, you're possessed.
September 20th, 2016. It's Tuesday afternoon in the Houston, Texas suburb of Cypress, an affluent community on the northwest side of town.
Cypress is such a suburban, quiet area. The crime is not that high out there. Cypress is known to be a family-friendly environment where people can come and feel safe.
But today, the family of 32-year-old nursing aide Amalia Alexander is starting to worry.
Amalia was supposed to pick up her nephews from school that afternoon, but she never showed up.
She was supposed to get Laura boys, but when she didn't come, Laura got worried.
So I started calling. I'm like, okay, well, let's just see where she at. Phone went to voicemail, and then I got nervous. I felt like, something was off.
Hey, sis, give me a call.
It was unlike her to be gone and not show up without, at least letting Laura know.
When Laura calls Amalia's workplace, there's even more cause for alarm.
My sister didn't show up for work.
Wait. She didn't call in?
She didn't call in, like no call, no show.
At first, we tried not to panic, but the more hours and minutes went by, the more worried we got.
And once Amalia has been MIA for a full 24 hours, her loved ones decide it's time to take action.
We were really worried, and Laura made a police report. I was there, but I just kind of played the background a little bit to be more support for Laura during that time.
We haven't heard from her in over 24 hours. She always has her phone on her. It's completely out of character for her to disappear this way.
They made an official missing persons report with the Harris County Sheriff's Office.
Where is she? What's from?
A kind and caring person to her core, Amalia Alexander, or Maya to her friends and family, had a bubbly personality and an infectious laugh.
Everybody loved Maya. She is so funny. And I smile when I even say her name because she makes everybody happy. She had this laugh. It's hilarious. You'll laugh with her laugh.
She was a nurse's aide, and she was pursuing her degree at Houston Community College to become a nurse.
She was so caring. She loved to bring everybody together. She was just a really sweetheart, an angel on this earth, no matter what. She was a blessing.
She's really outgoing, adventurous, beautiful. She was the life of the party, so she liked to have fun. But she wasn't really dating too much. She was focused on school and work.
Less than a year earlier, Amalia had gotten out of a tumultuous 7-year relationship.
When they broke up, I convinced her to move closer to me. She found the apartment right down the street, and it was pretty cool.
And although Amalia wasn't necessarily looking for love, a chance encounter in April 2016 made her think she might like to try again.
Hey, how's the day going?
Good.
She locked eyes with this handsome guy. They ended up chatting and exchanging numbers.
The handsome guy was 32-year-old Jarvis Hickerson. And right away, he struck Amalia as a mature, ambitious person.
He was a landscaper. He had his own business at the time.
I'd love to take you out this weekend if you're free.
I'd like that.
Before long, Amalia found herself in love again.
They were spending a lot of time together, and it started getting pretty serious after just a few months of dating.
He was buying her stuff and getting her rings and clothes, taking her to the mall, taking her out to eat.
But now Amalia has gone missing, and her loved ones are fearing the worst.
Once 24 hours had passed without any sign of Amalia, her family decided to file a missing persons report.
It's completely out of character for her to disappear this way.
She's not returning or answering any phone calls, and she didn't go to work. Something is going on.
It was not like Amalia to not show up for work and to bail on Laura, you know, with the kids and plans with the family and stuff like that.
When was the last time you saw her?
The evening of the 19th.
Laura says that Amalia came over Monday night to see her nephews.
Hey, they're in bed.
Oh, thank you, sis. You're a godsend. Laura had a really long day at work and was exhausted.
I was in the bed and I was half asleep.
Jarvis is here, so I'm about to head out.
I guess he was outside and she was like, I'm about to go to my apartment for a minute.
And I'll get the boys from school tomorrow, okay? Just get some rest.
That's the last thing. She stood at my door with that little black and white dress on, and she left.
That's the last time Laura ever saw her sister.
A 32-year-old business owner named Jarvis Hickerson.
Jarvis owned a landscaping business and gave Amalia a sense of security she didn't have in her previous relationship.
But now Amalia's family is reporting her missing after a stressful 24 hours without any sign of her.
They had indicated that they couldn't reach her. She never made it to work, which was unusual for her. So the family knew that something was up, something was wrong, because they talked to her every day.
Amalia's sister Laura says the last time she saw Amalia was on the evening of the 19th.
Laura believes Amalia left with Jarvis that night, which means Jarvis might be the last person to see Amalia before she disappeared.
She's concerned that he could have something to do with her sister's disappearance.
After taking down the information from Laura, deputies passed the case over to the Missing Persons Unit.
The first thing investigators want to do is speak with Jarvis Hickerson.
Hello, is this Mr. Hickerson?
Yes. Jarvis is very amenable to the phone call and is providing information.
He confirms that he picked Amalia up from her sister's house on the evening of the 19th.
I mean, she been having car trouble lately, so I gave her a ride back to her apartment.
Jarvis mentions to detectives that he dropped Amalia off at her apartment around 1 a.m. and went immediately home after.
He also admits that their relationship has been rocky lately.
Unfortunately, we've been reevaluating our relationship, we've been seeing other people.
In fact, Jarvis says he isn't the only man Amalia has been seeing.
He thought Amalia had went to Florida and was staying with the guy.
He said, I haven't seen her, I've never heard from her.
Do you know this guy's name?
Unfortunately, no. I think he's someone she used to date before me.
Jarvis says he's been really concerned for Amalia's safety ever since he heard she hasn't been in contact with her family.
He's tried calling, he's tried texting. He even became so worried he called her job, but there was no response.
After getting off the phone with Jarvis, detectives ramp up their investigation.
They register Amalia in the National Database for Missing Persons. They also issue a BOLO, which allows law enforcement in the Houston area to keep a lookout for her.
Next, investigators head over to the apartment complex where Amalia has been living.
We didn't locate her car at the apartment complex.
At this point in time, they don't know if it's a homicide or not. They just know that there's a person missing and they're there just to perform a welfare check at the apartment unit.
Once inside, detectives quickly determine that neither Amalia nor anyone else is in the apartment. But that doesn't mean their search is fruitless.
Amalia was described to be a clean person, but inside of her apartment, it was very disheveled.
They noticed that there has been some type of violent struggle here.
It was trashed, just all across. You know, it's not how Amalia lived. It was a pretty bad amount of damage in there.
Both the bathroom mirror and the living room TV have been broken.
It was torn up. I mean, big screen TV was completely shattered. The mirror in the bathroom was shattered. There was glass all over the floor.
The shattered glass is very alarming, especially in a missing persons case.
Houston detectives have just found evidence of a violent struggle inside the home of missing 32-year-old nursing aide, Amalia Alexander.
They do see evidence of some type of physical altercation.
The apartment is in disarray, and it looks like there had possibly been a fight in there or a struggle.
Was Amalia attacked inside her own apartment?
Detectives want to see if there's any signs of a break-in. Perhaps Amalia confronted an intruder and it went badly for her.
But there's no indication that someone broke in.
The evidence leads detectives to one conclusion.
It's clear that this is an inside job. Someone that Amalia knew.
Detectives head to the complex's main office to inquire about surveillance footage.
Surveillance footage would be pivotal in this case if police could see who entered and exited that apartment.
Unfortunately, the complex's only security cameras are located at the front gate.
Management tells them we have to get with the company that controls that and we'll get that to you.
In the meantime, apartment management has some other important information to share with detectives.
Amalia had been in contact with management asking to move to another unit because she felt like she was being stalked, harassed.
Amalia didn't give any names, but she did say that she was being harassed by an ex-partner.
Detectives start reaching out to Amalia's family and friends, trying to identify the mysterious ex-boyfriend.
Upon their investigation, they come across a name: Desmond Price.
And what detectives learn about Desmond sets off some alarm bells.
Desmond has had a history of violence against Amalia. Sometime in 2010, Amalia had to file a police report for Desmond cutting her with a knife. There was another report filed in May of 2013 where Desmond again assaulted her and accused her of cheating, leaving her with a bloody nose and a black eye.
She really had a rocky relationship with Desmond. They eventually broke up.
Detectives' attempts to reach Desmond are unsuccessful.
This certainly seems suspicious.
But when they sit down with Amalia's sister Laura, she tells them they're investigating the wrong man.
She doesn't think Desmond has anything to do with her sister's disappearance. He's not a point of concern for Laura.
I know they went through things because they were both young. You know, he wasn't perfect, but he's not a bad person. They just had stuff going on.
Laura is insistent that there is only one person who could possibly be responsible for Amalia's disappearance.
Look, I'm telling you, Jarvis has something to do with this.
Laura says you all need to circle back and look at Jarvis Hickerson.
I knew he did something to my sister.
Laura says Amalia and Jarvis began dating 6 months ago.
In the beginning stages, Amalia was happy. Everything seemed to be going really well.
But eventually, his true colors started to show.
He was very controlling.
He was described as very possessive over her, and there were some concerns there.
He seemed to be really clingy. He didn't want to leave her side. He didn't want her going anywhere without him. We just couldn't understand it. I felt that he had an evil spirit.
It seemed as if he was trying to isolate her from her family and friends, you know?
He tried to keep her away from me and my children. She started to not come around so much, and we lived so close. And that's why I knew something was off about this dude. He knew I didn't like him, and we didn't get along at all.
Laura says Jarvis's controlling behavior towards Amalia eventually turned physical.
They had a history of abuse.
And I'm like, this person right here, honey, you are a demon, you're evil, you're possessed.
After discovering that Amalia Alexander was being harassed by an ex-boyfriend in the days leading up to her disappearance, Houston detectives thought an old flame named Desmond Price could be responsible. But Amalia's sister Laura is convinced there's only one man who could be involved: Amalia's most recent boyfriend, Jarvis Hickerson.
Laura tells detectives that Jarvis has been physically and verbally abusive. His main goal was to isolate and control Amalia.
It's none of your business.
Amalia would get a cell phone, and he would break the cell phone because he was very jealous and didn't want her communicating with other guys and things like that.
I'm like, you are a demon, you're evil, you're possessed.
1 week before Amalia went missing, he made a big scene in public.
They were at an IHOP, and there was an incident there where Jarvis assaulted her.
They got into a disagreement. He ended up jumping on her at the IHOP in front of everyone, kicking her, cursing at her, and everything.
But Laura says the violence didn't stop there.
He left her there, went back and trashed her apartment.
He took her keys to her car and actually went to her apartment and damaged her apartment.
He totally destroyed the apartment. It was just a mess. It looked scary going inside, just from him just tearing it up.
And I'm like, oh no, he needs to be stopped.
That was enough for her to stand her ground and leave him and file the charges that needed to be filed to stop him.
The police ended up arresting Jarvis and charging him with family assault and some criminal mischief. They filed what they call a MOAP, a Motion of Emergency Protective Order. And Jarvis was not supposed to have any kind of, communication with her.
But the next day, it was clear Jarvis wasn't taking no for an answer.
He was arrested that night on the 12th. And apparently on the 13th, he posted bond and he was out of jail on the 13th.
After he got out of jail, Jarvis showed up to Amalia's door, holding a bouquet of roses and an engagement ring.
Hey, baby. Can you please forgive me?
He bought her some flowers. It was wild. It's like a movie. She's like, oh my God, he's trying to propose to me.
He was trying to do everything he could to get her to drop this pending charge.
Will you marry me?
However, Amalia was having none of it.
Amalia slams the door in his face and says, leave.
Hell no. That's what I say.
In the meantime, Amalia reaches out to the apartment complex to request a change of apartment.
So, do you think that he held a vendetta against her because she rejected him?
Well, that's not the only reason.
Laura says Jarvis had some secrets he didn't want to get out.
Jarvis had questions about his sexuality and was upset that Amalia knew.
She said that he messed with dudes.
He was afraid that she would tell people.
But in the days leading up to Amalia's disappearance, Laura says Jarvis figured out a way to weasel himself back into her sister's life.
My sister thought she can help him. She was so sweet. And I'm like, you would never be able to help a demon. I seen through him.
To Laura's dismay, Amalia left with Jarvis on the night of the 19th.
Jarvis is here, so I'm about to head out.
That's the last time Laura ever saw her, was when Amalia said, "I'm leaving with Jarvis."
If you've never been in that position, it's hard to figure out why the victim, why is it so hard for them to get out of it? I think a lot of us, that haven't been in her shoes would be like, man, she just should leave him. She should just get away from him. But in their mind, they're like, no, I gotta stay in this because of whatever, financial reasons, support reasons. They may be afraid to leave him.
When Amalia left with Jarvis that night, Laura was half asleep and so exhausted, the danger didn't really register.
But now she's convinced he's done something terrible to her sister.
I'm telling you, he knows where she is.
I feel like she left because she felt like she was protecting us. So maybe she was like, well, maybe I'll get him out of here and he'll just do something to me and not kill my sister and her kids.
After speaking with Laura, detectives are inclined to agree. Jarvis Hickerson is the key to finding Amalia.
Throughout this investigation, we could never get past him. There was a lot of things that just kind of led us to believe that this is our guy and this is who we need to be focused on.
When detectives dig more into Jarvis's past, what they find gives them even more cause for alarm.
He is a criminal. He served 2 years in jail before, and he has 7 felonies.
Jarvis's rap sheet stretches back more than a decade and includes not only theft and assault, but also convictions for cocaine and illegal firearms possession.
To investigators, it seems Jarvis's landscaping business may just be a front for illegal activity. As
a means of making money, he would go out and sell stolen property.
A lengthy rap sheet isn't enough to make an arrest. But when the surveillance footage from Amalia's apartment complex finally comes in, investigators are hoping for a slam dunk.
In the footage, detectives can see Jarvis's pickup truck pull into Amalia's apartment complex just around 12:40 a.m., just as he claimed.
Jarvis indeed did drop Amalia off at 1, but he didn't leave like he told them initially.
The truck goes into the apartment and you don't see it leave until sometime around 3 a.m. or so.
What was he doing at her apartment for 2 hours?
And after Jarvis leaves the apartment complex, he shows back up an hour and a half later.
He leaves at 3:04. He comes back at 4:23.
Jarvis had told people that he had dropped her off. He never mentioned coming back to her apartment at all.
But when he came back, there was nothing in the bed of the truck.
So it comes back and it's there for about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, maybe a little bit more. And then this time when the truck leaves, you can clearly see a large object in the back of the bed that was not there when the truck entered.
It looks like it might have been covered up with some type of tarp.
To detectives, this object looks like it could be a human body.
We suspect that may have likely been Amalia.
After reviewing surveillance footage of 32-year-old Jarvis Hickerson driving in and out of Amalia Alexander's apartment complex on the night she went missing, Houston police are more convinced than ever that he's involved in her disappearance.
There's what appears to be a large object in the back of the truck. It looks like it might have been covered up with some type of tarp. We suspect that may have likely been Amalia's body.
On September the 23rd, they head to Jarvis' house with the warrant in hand with the intention of arresting him.
He was actually staying at a family member's place at the time.
As police are monitoring the house, they see Jarvis pull up in that same truck from the surveillance footage.
Go, 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 go. Stay right there. Jarvis Hickerson. Yeah. You're under arrest.
Fortunately, police are able to take Jarvis into custody without incident.
While deputies transport Jarvis to jail, detectives search the truck and find something that makes them confident they're on the right track.
They found a bone in the truck bed, which was a huge discovery.
The bone fragment prompts detectives to search the rest of the home. And it doesn't take long to find more unsettling evidence.
While we were there, we actually came across Amalia's car covered with a tarp. Jarvis had a trailer and some other tools, lawn tools there. The trailer had been reported stolen.
Inside of that trailer, they discover shears, they discover a shovel and a saw, which they believe to have blood on it.
They took DNA, swabs of everything.
After completing the search, detectives head back to the station to interview Jarvis.
I knew from that point when I started talking to him that it was going to be one of those cases where he's probably not going to admit to it, but let me just do what I do to see if he would finally come around.
Jarvis refuses to give any sort of statement.
Jarvis asserts his Fifth Amendment right and remains silent.
But even though investigators are confident that Jarvis is responsible for Amalia's disappearance, they're still no closer to pinpointing her whereabouts.
And with Jarvis continuing to remain tight-lipped, they don't expect much help from him.
However, when detectives subpoena records from Amalia and Jarvis's cell phones, they finally get a solid lead.
Amalia's phone was last seen pinging in an empty field in Conroe, Texas.
Jarvis's phone and Amalia's phone went from her apartment to the Conroe area in the woods, probably about 25 or 30 miles away. And so their phones were pinging at the same time in the same location.
Once we kind of got a general location of the phone areas, we were looking and searching.
Houston investigators enlist the assistance of statewide search and rescue organization, TXR.
They are comprised of a group of volunteers that go out looking for missing people when they believe missing people are deceased, to help the families get closure to find the bodies.
We basically knew that the lady had been murdered. They had a suspect. They had an area where a cell phone ping was made, and they gave us that area to search.
There was some ponds and things like that up there that we searched.
We got there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We stayed until dark, and we rotated people in and out. But we didn't solve the case. We didn't find the body.
Investigators hit a dead end with it.
Over the following days and weeks, tips continue to trickle in, but they all lead to more dead ends. For Amalia's family, the thought of never knowing what happened to her is devastating.
I felt distraught because although she was missing for a while, we still had hope that maybe she was out there somewhere alive. We just couldn't wrap our heads around it. It broke everybody's heart.
Everybody that knew her took a part in trying to look, and it was just so stressful.
But on November 30th, more than 2 months after Amalia's disappearance, investigators get a call from police in Conroe.
Detective Miller.
They've located skeletal remains.
When I got that call, I'm thinking they may have found her finally.
Story, and I don't care if it's hard for me, to get through it. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to make sure that she lives forever. Her name will live longer than I will. I'm even trying to write a book about her story. Whatever I got to do, I'm going to do it while I'm here.
Detective Miller.
Houston detectives have just received word that human remains have been located near where searches for missing 32-year-old Amalia Alexander took place 2 months earlier.
When I got that call, I'm thinking they may have found her finally. And as morbid as it may sound, I was hoping it was her because I wanted to give the family some closure. I didn't want them to have to go wondering where her body was.
Harris County investigators immediately head to the scene.
It was some woods near a church. We were able to determine that those skeletal remains consisted of a skull with some teeth, a rib, leg bone. There was also some pink nails that we found. Her sister talked about she used pink nail polish, to paint her nails.
She was polishing her nails pink before her disappearance.
After the remains are sent to the crime lab, the tragic reality is confirmed.
Unfortunately, it was Amalia.
They was able to identify her because of my DNA. When I went to do the DNA, the lights was flickering, and I'm like, her spirit is with us. I'm a firm believer of all that. I was angry for a really long time. Like, why, my sister? Why this way?
Yeah, rough day. We figured that might be the end result. We just couldn't believe that could happen to her.
However, the level of decomposition means there's one thing investigators can't determine.
The medical examiner, they ruled it a homicide, but could not determine the cause of death.
Based on the body being exposed to the environment, to the wildlife for weeks, an autopsy could not be performed by the ME.
Even without an official cause of death, detectives are ready to confront Jarvis Hickerson, hoping this time he will confess.
I tried to talk to him a second time. I confronted him with the information we had regarding the phone records, the surveillance video, and him giving this story as to his whereabouts and what was going on.
Look, Jarvis, we found her. And you're on the surveillance as the last person seen with her.
Despite all the evidence police have collected, Jarvis refuses to admit any involvement in the homicide.
I ain't do it.
And then he starts making some really odd comments.
He said he didn't really love Amalia and was actually planning to meet up with another bisexual man after he dropped her off at home on the 19th.
Man, I ain't kill her. I've been over her.
He denied any involvement in her disappearance, and then he stopped talking.
Man, I'm done.
Even without a confession, the investigators have all they need to bring charges against Jarvis for Amalia's murder.
It was clear at that point that they had probable cause to file charges for capital murder against him.
However, as relieved as Amalia's loved ones are to finally see Jarvis behind bars, it's not long before he's back on the streets.
Jarvis manages to make bond, and he's released from jail. He's required to wear an ankle monitor.
At this time, the judge felt like bond was appropriate because despite the evidence being overwhelming, it is circumstantial evidence. He's still a presumed innocent person unless proven guilty.
Then, just 9 months later, he's taken back into custody after police discover he's been tampering with his ankle monitor.
He cut it off. If you think about it, if you're facing life, capital murder, once you cut it off, what you have to lose? He shouldn't even been out.
And tampering with his ankle monitor wasn't Jarvis's only offense while he was out on bond.
He had a new girlfriend and allegedly assaulted her.
Again, same pattern. He was violent, he was abusive, and he tried to choke her. She called the police, and he actually got charged with that.
Following his rearrest, the judge revokes Jarvis's bond and sends him back to jail to await trial.
In September of 2024, Jarvis finally faces a jury for the murder of Amalia Alexander.
We argue that essentially he killed her because she had called the police on him for the assault that had happened on the 12th.
He had such a long, lengthy criminal history that he felt if she pursued the charges that he would go to prison for a very long time. So that was his biggest concern.
The details of the murder itself remain murky, but prosecutors believe that when Jarvis dropped Amalia off at her home on the night of September 20th, they got into a heated argument.
She already had some damage to her apartment from when he trashed it on September 12th. But even more damage was done on this night.
In his rage, he attacked her, causing her to sustain injuries.
And this time, he didn't stop there.
I suspect he probably strangled Amalia, choked her, and killed her that way.
As Jarvis tried to clean up the scene, he panicked and stopped midway, opting to move Amalia's body to another location.
Investigators believe Jarvis disposed of Amalia's body in Conroe and then went about his life.
There is a boatload of circumstantial evidence that ties him to the crime.
However, some of the forensic evidence threatens to throw a wrench in the prosecution's case.
Shockingly, when the bone fragment found in Jarvis's truck was sent in for testing, they determined that it didn't belong to Amalia.
It turned out to be non-human, so some sort of animal bone.
It also turned out that all the items from Jarvis's trailer tested negative for blood and negative for Amalia's DNA.
They really didn't find anything that they could tie to Amalia or this case back there. It was all landscaping equipment. Just coincidentally, the same type of equipment you would need to bury somebody in the woods.
But despite the lack of direct evidence, the prosecution's case is enough to convince the jury.
Jarvis is convicted of capital murder, which comes with an automatic sentence of life in prison without parole.
That was the best news, that the jury heard us. They had sympathy for what Maya went through.
However, for Amalia's sister Laura, it's still not enough.
What's the point of being Texas if you can't get the death penalty? That's what I wanted, and I don't understand why they didn't throw that in there. I'm not satisfied at all, but that's fine.
When I gave my victim impactment statement, I said everything I wanted to say, especially calling him a monster. We got our vengeance.
I just wanted to smile in his face and look him in his eyes, and that's what pushed his buttons to let him know that you thought you got away, didn't you? He got so mad and stood up looking crazy.
I think he said this is bullshit. He kept saying he doesn't want to hear it.
His voice was so deep, it was like demonic. It was kind of scary.
When Amalia Alexander met Jarvis Hickerson, she never could have expected what was to come.
She had so much ahead of her and opportunities ahead of her. And unfortunately, she ran across a man that would end that laughter and light.
I miss her. I just wish she was here.
My sister didn't die for nothing. Her story may help other people, you know, and that's why I go speak, because she lived through me, and I'm going to help other people. They need to know what's the signs. Your intuition is the sign.
She faced more than her fair share of struggles in life.
She lived a life that had many obstacles.
She lost a child. She also suffered from a physical disability.
But she was finally picking up the pieces.
She was not discouraged. She continued to work hard.
She seems to be doing better.
She was looking for love.
The future looked bright until a breaking news story changed everything.
Her child was found wandering in the street. Everyone's asking, where is Nicole?
Something's not right. This is more than a missing child. This is a missing person.
Did her search for love lead her down a dangerous road?
They're wondering, did she meet up with the wrong guy?
Why do you keep calling him?
Because he's not answering.
She was being secretive about it.
Just thinking about doing something, not sure about.
Come to find out, he's given a fake phone number.
The investigation will draw detectives into the darkest corners of their city. But will the truth ever see the light of day?
Days turns into weeks, weeks turn into months.
I searched for her everywhere.
Go be a man. Is she gonna have some justice?
Oh my God.
He's pure evil.
December 12th, 2016, Detroit, Michigan, a city once known as the heart of America's automotive industry, is undergoing a renaissance.
The city of Detroit it's Motown, right? It's the Motor City.
Going back several years, we had, the auto crisis, the recession. We had this housing crisis.
Around 2016, Detroit started seeing better days. Companies started moving back. There was a lot of energy.
The city is really on the comeback now.
Longtime Detroit resident Conrad Green has lived through all the city's ups and downs. But nothing could prepare him for what he experienced on that cold Monday morning.
My wife and I were sitting, looking at television, looking at the news as we normally do. And my wife got a call.
Yes, speaking.
And it was the Genesis House. Genesis House was a transition house for homeless women.
Conrad's granddaughter, Nicole Smith, was temporarily living there with her son, Isaiah.
They're saying Nicole and Isaiah aren't at the home.
What? Hold on.
Just then, Conrad sees a shocking news bulletin flash across the TV screen.
Simultaneously, I saw Isaiah on the television.
The photo is shown of his great-grandchild, Isaiah, who's only 18 months old. He's instantly concerned.
According to the newscaster, Isaiah had been found wandering the streets of Detroit's West Side all on his own.
Thankfully, the young boy is now safe.
Isaiah was dropped off at a fire station by a Good Samaritan.
Conrad immediately springs into action.
So he contacts the local police precinct that's holding Isaiah, and he says, hey, this is my great-grandchild. He rushes down there.
Along the way, Conrad and his wife try to reach their granddaughter, Nicole, by phone.
They're frantically trying to get a hold of her, and they can't.
I continued to call Nicole, and I used the firm granddad voice. Nicole, call me. She never did.
News quickly spreads to the rest of the family, who were also unable to reach Nicole.
I got the call, and I'm like, what is going on? Y'all seen Nicole? I'm like, no.
I'm like, this ain't normal. It's something wrong. Nicole is not going to abandon her kids. She's not going to leave them on the streets nowhere.
Everyone's asking, where is Nicole?
Detroit native Nicole Smith was used to overcoming hardships.
She developed problems when she was a baby. She had seizures. She limped on her right side, and she didn't really have full strength or use on her left side.
But Nicole displayed remarkable courage in the face of her numerous health challenges.
She was not an oh, woe is me person. No, she did take it in stride.
Nicole was very vibrant. She was bubbly.
Nicole is a very caring, loving, family-oriented young lady. Her cousins was her friends. You know what I'm saying? She loved her music. She was funny.
Nicole also loved her longtime boyfriend, Damian Carver, and the couple wanted nothing more than to start a family together.
Well, Nicole was interested in being a mother.
And in the fall of 2007, her dream came true.
She got pregnant and had her first daughter, Kilana.
Tragically, though, heartbreak was on the horizon.
Kilana only lived for 5 months. She ended up dying of Cribb's death.
It was a devastating moment for the young couple. But in time, they decided to try again.
She ended up having a son 2 years after Kehlani passed. Then the next year, she had a daughter, and then she had the youngest girl.
She was a good mother. She did anything and did the world for her kids.
However, when the couple's middle child began experiencing medical issues, it put further stress on their relationship.
They both were having problems with fully taking care of the 3 children. Then it was just really a lot for both of them. They needed help.
Family members took in the couple's children while they worked on building a stable home.
Their relationship, it was being tumultuous and what have you.
Nicole and Damien eventually split. And around the same time, Nicole's mother passed away.
This was another hard time for Nicole.
She didn't have a job or a home of her own. She was suffering mentally and physically. That meant Nicole was especially vulnerable.
Although I and the rest of the family was a source of support for her, she was still having difficulties. She ended up getting pregnant and having Isaiah. And she didn't know who the father was.
However, Isaiah's birth in 2015 proved to be a turning point in Nicole's life.
Isaiah, his first words were mama.
Isaiah was a mama's boy. Anywhere that Nicole would go, he was on her tail.
They went and lived in the Genesis house, or transition house for homeless women. Genesis house was trying to help her get her own home, and she was in the process of it. She was actually supposed to move there maybe like within a month.
The more strides Nicole took towards building a happier life, the more she wanted someone to share it with.
Nicole was putting herself out there. She was starting to date again.
She loved her man. The ones she deal with, she gonna try to go all out to do what she gotta do to make him happy.
She was looking for love.
But now, a breaking news report has seized her family's attention.
Isaiah had been found on the street. Well, I got up right away and went to the police station.
When Conrad and his wife arrive at the station, they're relieved to be reunited with their great-grandson.
And Isaiah saw me and said, "Granddad, Granddad," and ran to me. And, I picked him up and held him. And so, where's your mommy? Where's your mommy? He didn't say anything.
Conrad tells the police no one has been able to reach his granddaughter Nicole since learning of her disappearance.
Something's not right.
And I said, well, this is more than a missing child. This is a missing person.
Let us know if you haven't heard from her about tomorrow morning, okay? Yes, sir. All right.
Come on,
As night settles over the city, Nicole's family is beginning to fear the worst.
I kept calling her the whole night.
Did she have a health emergency? Did someone attack her?
She ain't never did that one, just disappeared, never. I knew something was wrong.
The morning after her 18-month-old son was found wandering the streets of West Detroit, police officially declare 33-year-old Nicole Smith a missing person.
Her family had been trying to contact her nonstop for the last 24 hours.
The biggest question is, how does this 1-year-old child become separated from their mother?
When detectives speak with Nicole's grandfather, that's exactly what they want to find out.
When was the last time you saw Nicole?
Sunday afternoon, she and Isaiah came over to the house.
Nicole always visited us on Sundays, and I would pick her up at Genesis. She would come and spend a few hours with us, and then I'd take her back home.
However, Conrad says when he picked Nicole and Isaiah up that afternoon, something was troubling her.
Hey. Nicole said, "Granddad, I'm gonna do something, and I don't know if I should do it or not." And so she had been being private around that time. So I said, well, Nicole, we brought you up right. You know how to make good decisions. And if you need some help, let us know, because we'll help you.
If you have any questions or need help with anything, just let us know, okay?
Thanks, Granddad.
You're welcome.
So anyway, we got to the house, and Nicole did her normal thing. "Hi, Granny, how you doing?" Went through all of that.
Leaving Nicole and Isaiah with his wife, Conrad subsequently went out to run an errand. But when he returned, his granddaughter was gone.
When I got back to the house, Nicole wasn't there, and Isaiah wasn't there either.
Did Nicole and Isaiah leave?
Are they not downstairs?
He went upstairs, where Nicole at. My grandma was like, she downstairs. We was like, no, she ain't downstairs.
The plan was for me to drive her and Isaiah back to Genesis' house. She didn't say anything about getting picked up.
And that's something that is really one of our rules. You need to tell us when you're leaving the house. It's just for knowledge of where you're at in case something happened to you.
Do you have any idea who might have picked Nicole up?
I really don't. I'm always the one who drives her.
The family revealed Nicole suffered from seizures and she had some physical disabilities.
It's possible that something bad has happened medically. You know, maybe not even something criminal.
Still, Conrad can't get that last conversation he had with Nicole out of his mind.
I felt actually a sense of dread because she told me that she might be doing something that she didn't know if she should do or not. And so my mind went to, I wonder, did she do what she thought she shouldn't do?
Detroit investigators share the family's concerns and immediately get to work trying to track Nicole down.
Nicole had been missing since December the 11th, so that would be our starting point, and we would work backward from there.
They start calling hospitals. They check homeless shelters, and nobody had seen her.
We go back to the fire station because that is where Isaiah was turned over to the battalion chief there and a firefighter. So those two individuals were interviewed.
According to the firemen, a man walked into the station the previous afternoon with Isaiah in tow.
They're told that the man who dropped off Isaiah is a black man in his 30s.
He said he was on his way somewhere and observed this child wandering in the street alone.
I seen this kid just wandering the block, not a parent in sight. I thought maybe you guys could help.
He was instantly concerned, and so he picked up Isaiah, took him to the fire department.
He provided the name of Robert Johnson, and also at that time provided a telephone number.
That's the number he gave us.
We'll give it a shot.
Okay.
They want to talk to this Good Samaritan just in case there's some additional information, something he may have seen to help them with their investigation.
But when detectives reach out to Robert, they run into a problem.
They call the number, a young female answers. They ask about Robert Johnson, and she says, I don't know Robert Johnson. I had never heard of this person. Why would a Good Samaritan leave them the wrong telephone number?
In the mind of a detective, that's a clue.
This Good Samaritan may not be such a Good Samaritan after all.
24 hours after Nicole Smith disappeared, Detroit detectives have just made an unsettling discovery about the man who claimed to have found her son.
He presented himself as Robert Johnson, just a Good Samaritan, who happened to see this child wandering about with no adults in sight and took it upon himself, in a sense, to rescue the child.
But now investigators are wondering if this Robert Johnson is really who he says he is.
Come to find out, he's given a fake phone number.
We begin to conduct our queries to try to identify who this individual was.
Unfortunately, there were no cameras at the fire station. They instantly go back to the family asking, have you ever heard of Robert Johnson?
We was just all at home trying to just figure out who it could have been, who is this person, because we never met the person.
Fortunately, Nicole's cousin Ashley comes forward with information that she believes could help the investigation.
It was actually like my daughter who actually started coming up with suggestions because they was real kind of close.
There was this guy that she was talking to on the phone a lot.
Do you know his name?
No, she never told me his name.
She was happy. She just on the phone, she lollygagging.
But Ashley's interactions with her mysterious male friend weren't all positive.
I watched my cousin call his phone from sun up to sundown one day. He's sitting in that dining room and kept redialing that number. I said, Nicole, what is you doing? Why did you keep dialing the number?
What are you doing? Why do you keep calling them?
Because he's not answering.
She said he was supposed to come over or come get me, something like this. I'm like, okay. But she kept calling that phone. I'm talking about she was furious, mad. That's the first time I ever saw her like that. Mad.
More recently, Ashley says Nicole had made a connection with an older man she met online.
I told them that she was talking about this old man that she had just met.
She didn't tell me his name either, but I know she was planning on meeting him in person.
The old man should message him only on Facebook. She'd sit in the dining room, set her phone on the charger, message him.
To investigators, it sounds like a potential lead.
Now, the police are concerned because we know that social media, Facebook, well, that's breeding ground for predators. So they're wondering, did she meet up with the wrong guy?
To detectives' surprise, Ashley says this wouldn't be the first time Nicole has fallen prey to a predatory man.
She done got raped at a bus stop before.
It was a little over a year ago.
On August 17th, 2015, Nicole was at a bus stop around 7:30 in the morning in front of her transitional housing.
She felt something hit her in the head. And when she woke up, she was in the alley and she had been raped.
She called me the morning that it happened and she was crying. I said, Nicole, go to the hospital. And so she went and she did go get the rape kit done.
Nicole is not able to really give a good description of the person who assaulted her, but what police are able to determine is that this person left semen.
That DNA sample was sent to the state crime lab for processing. But more than a year later, Nicole's attacker still hadn't been identified.
It's not uncommon for states to have a long backlog of untested rape kits. And at the time of Nicole's disappearance, her rape kit still had not been processed.
After speaking with Ashley, investigators contact the state crime lab to request a rush on Nicole's rape kit.
Whoever this individual was that raped Nicole could also be involved in her disappearance.
Detectives also file a subpoena for Nicole's cell phone records, and one number immediately stands out to them.
Once we received the data from the phone company, we were able to see that there were 77 telephone calls placed between Robert Autry and Nicole Smith.
Could Robert Autry and Robert Johnson be the same person?
Not only have they had contact via phone, but also on Facebook.
This began to form a picture in our minds. Based on my line of work, there can't be too many coincidences.
They're anxious to find this Robert Autry. Does he know where Nicole is?
Thanks to Nicole Smith's cell phone records, Detroit police have just identified a person of interest in the 33-year-old mother's disappearance.
She had been in near constant contact with this individual, this Robert Autry, in the days leading up to her disappearance.
Now the question is, who is Robert Autry? They wonder if maybe this Robert Autry is Robert Johnson, the Good Samaritan who dropped off her youngest child at the fire department.
Phone records show that Robert Autry last called Nicole on December 11th, one day before Isaiah was turned over to firefighters.
After December the 11th, he hadn't placed any more calls to Nicole. That's not normal.
Investigators uncover more troubling information when they start digging into Robert Autry's past.
While he was a high school student in 2003, he actually assaulted another student.
He's 16 years old, and he is accused of assaulting a mentally challenged girl.
He lured her into an abandoned building and raped her.
Ultimately, he's prosecuted, he does a plea deal, but because he's a juvenile, he doesn't receive any substantial sentence, but he is put on the sex offenders list.
Unfortunately, though, that wasn't enough to teach Robert a lesson.
But it doesn't stop there. What the police also learned is that in 2011, Robert Autry assaults another woman. This young lady is recovering from drug addiction. She's at home one night. She says that someone breaks in, comes through the window, and he proceeds to assault and rape her.
Eventually, that DNA comes back as Robert Autry.
It began to look like this guy is a predator.
Records show that law enforcement tried to prosecute Robert again, this time as an adult. But the case fell apart when the victim refused to cooperate.
There are many reasons why someone may choose not to go forward. You know, it's traumatic.
So what that meant was that Robert walked away scot-free.
The striking similarities between the alleged rape in 2011 and Nicole's 2015 bus stop assault aren't lost on police.
This is clearly a guy who was targeting vulnerable women.
And when detectives send Robert Autry's 2011 mugshot to the firemen who helped Isaiah to safety, it's a match.
They were able to confirm, yes, this is the man who dropped off Isaiah. It's the same guy who claimed he was Robert Johnson.
Now that his true identity is confirmed, detectives hope they'll have an easier time tracking down their #1 suspect.
The police are looking for Robert. They're questioning people in the community.
They subpoenaed his phone records, and at the same time, they continued to reach out to Nicole's circle of family and friends.
When police speak to Nicole's best friend, Melanie, she says Nicole recently told her about a new man she was seeing, a man detectives now suspect is Robert Autry.
She was always either talking about him or talking to him on the phone. He had a hook, line, and sinker.
She just kept saying, my boyfriend, my boyfriend, my boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, I need to meet this boyfriend. And she said, you will meet him.
Only Melanie says that never happened. Instead, Nicole's new man seemed to intentionally keep his distance.
She had Robert come over to my house to pick her up one day. And it was kind of peculiar how he would not come to my door and he parked backwards where I couldn't see his face.
It was weird.
Melanie says in the days ahead, Nicole also started exhibiting strange behaviors with money.
She had asked me for about $200. And I said, why? She said, well, I gotta pay my rent at the shelter. I said, you already paid it. She said, well, I was behind. I said, okay. So I gave her the $200. And then a couple days later, she called me and said, well, I need probably like $50. And she gave me another excuse.
I think she was just doing what he told her to do.
That wasn't like Nicole, because Nicole always paid her rent and she always paid her bills.
Nicole received Social Security benefits, so she received money every month. She received a bridge card.
This was a government assistance card that Nicole used to buy food.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Detectives decide to follow the financial breadcrumbs by filing a subpoena for Nicole's financial records.
All of her financial, dealings had stopped when she disappeared, except authorities find that her bridge card is still in use.
Someone is taking Nicole's bridge card and using it at gas stations and other convenience stores within the area.
They know it was used at a supermarket and a liquor store. They're able to pull surveillance from those stores.
I started watching the video.
Wait. Stop there. Freeze that frame.
And there he is. It's Robert Autry.
In Detroit, Michigan, 30-year-old Robert Autry has emerged as the prime suspect in Nicole Smith's disappearance after being caught on camera using her stolen food stamps card.
We find Robert Autry taking Nicole's bridge card and using it at gas stations and other convenience stores within the area.
With a bolo out on Robert, detectives circulate his photo among Nicole's family members. And Nicole's cousin Ashley immediately recognizes him.
Like one day I went to the store with her. She wanted to walk by herself. I said, no, I'm gonna go with you. And that was the first time I ever saw the man. Hey, how you doing? I'm her cousin,
Hey.
Hey, what's up? I'm great. Hey, so did you get that message I sent you?
Yeah, I have it.
At the time, Ashley didn't realize this was the same man her cousin had been talking to on the phone for weeks.
She got him some money or whatever, then he gave her a hug, and then he walked back.
What did you just give him?
$200.
Are you serious?
It's not that serious. He said
That's
he
your
needed it.
money.
I don't want to talk about it. Just let it go.
I just felt like it wasn't right. I don't feel like he liked her. I felt like he was using her.
It became apparent that he was targeting her, so to speak.
And when investigators get their hands on Robert's phone records, they uncover another bombshell. Nicole wasn't the only woman in Robert's life.
His current girlfriend was living in that same transitional home that Nicole Smith was currently living at. He was essentially siphoning what Nicole was given to care for herself and her son, for his girlfriend, and for their children.
The investigators now have enough evidence to secure an arrest warrant for Robert, but they still have to find him.
Days go by without any leads on Robert's whereabouts. Until December 19th, when Nicole has been missing a full week.
They get a call from an anonymous person who tells them that Robert Autry is staying at an apartment building in the area.
As he's leaving, they've taken him into custody. And lo and behold, what does he have in his pocket? Nicole's bridge card.
Robert Autry was brought to Detroit Police Headquarters. There, myself and Officer James McDonald conducted an interrogation of Mr. Autry.
Robert, I'm not going to beat around the bush with you here. We're concerned about Nicole's well-being, and her phone records indicate that you two did talk.
So what?
Robert Autry denies having any kind of real relationship with Nicole other than a friendship.
So you two weren't in a romantic relationship?
Mr. Autry claims that he did not see Nicole on December the 11th.
But as investigators lay out the evidence, Robert starts to sweat.
He knew it didn't look good if he was the last one to see her.
We have two witnesses who can positively ID you as the man who dropped off Isaiah at the fire department.
When confronted with the truth, Mr. Autry had to change his story.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see her that day.
He admits that she had called him for a ride.
He says to police that, look, he went to pick up Nicole from her grandfather's house to take her back to her transitional housing, that when he gets there, he drops her off.
It's a story the investigators are easily able to poke holes in.
So if you dropped off Nicole, why did you take her son to the fire department? And what's with the fake name?
Why does it matter?
To say the least, this interview conducted with Robert Autry was filled with lies, inconsistencies, information that he could not explain. When confronted, he would just provide an answer that frankly didn't make sense.
What were you doing with Nicole's bridge card?
I was borrowing it.
He said that she gave him the bridge card and that he had permission to use it, and he used it with her consent.
Robert, where's Nicole? Her family deserves to know the truth.
I didn't do nothing to her.
He's adamant that he had nothing to do with it. He dropped her off and he went about his business.
But detectives are convinced that isn't true.
Plainly put, Mr. Autry was lying.
They are convinced Robert Autry knows something about Nicole's disappearance. Unfortunately, though, they can't prove it.
This is such a difficult spot for investigators to be in. Everything's circumstantial.
When you don't have a body, when you don't have a person, it's very difficult to convict. It's very difficult to bring charges.
And so they need more evidence.
Without any proof connecting Robert to Nicole's disappearance, police are forced to release him. When the news reaches Nicole's family, they're stunned.
I understood if you don't have enough evidence, but that was a hard situation.
I was mad, you know.
Where's Nicole? That, for me, was the goal.
But the more time that passes, the harder it is to believe Nicole will ever be found.
I used to get off work and go searching for her on my own, going through railroad tracks, going under bridges, going to abandoned houses.
We were looking everywhere. We were just trying to figure out, where was she at?
Days go by. Days turns into weeks. Weeks turn into months.
Finally, in December of 2018, when Nicole has been missing a full 2 years, there's a new development that reignites the investigation.
Police get a big break in Nicole's case.
Mr. Autry had found himself arrested on an unrelated matter.
Robert Autry tells prosecutors, "Give me a plea deal and I will give you new information about Nicole."
He says, "I can tell you where her body is."
2 years after Nicole Smith went missing, Detroit investigators' #1 suspect in her disappearance has just been arrested on an unrelated case.
It's December 2018, and Robert Autry is arrested on another assaultive case.
He is once again accused of rape, and he's facing a life sentence.
He realizes this is a case he can't beat, and so he's very afraid about spending the rest of his life in prison.
In hopes of avoiding a life sentence, Robert reaches out to prosecutors.
Mr. Autry offers the information that, I can tell you where Nicole is.
Nicole's poor family has been waiting for answers for 2 years. And now Robert Autry, when faced with a life sentence, tells prosecutors, "Give me a plea deal, give me a lighter sentence, and I will give you new information about Nicole."
And so they do. They make a plea deal with him.
He is able to plead to a reduced second-degree murder.
Mr. Autry provided exact information as to where Nicole could be found.
The location is an abandoned apartment building in West Detroit.
Members of the Detroit Police Department responded to the area in which he had indicated.
They go inside and head to the basement. They find under a bunch of garbage a big black bag.
We made the unfortunate discovery, the remains of Nicole Smith.
Oh my God.
Obviously, at this point, the body is very badly decomposed.
It's a difficult scene to stomach, even for seasoned law enforcement officers.
To find her dead just sickened me. The state of disrepair and just the garbage everywhere, the dampness, the gloom of just this building. How dare you?
The medical examiners ruled Nicole's cause of death to be strangulation.
To add insult to injury, Nicole's body was just a few blocks away from her family all this time.
She's right, like 8 blocks from my house. I done passed this building, and she's right here at the building I done passed every day. That's crazy.
8 blocks. I was crying, like my cousin gone.
I remember Granddaddy Greenlee calling me. He said they found Nicole's body. I remember screaming.
Apart from Nicole's location, Robert refuses to give up any more details of the crime. But even without a full confession, investigators are able to form a theory of how Nicole died.
Robert Autry obviously is someone who's addicted to power, control. He's looking for people that he can assault who are vulnerable. He's purposely targeting those with mental and physical disabilities.
Robert Autry was taking money from Nicole. He used her.
The authorities suspect that Nicole had begun to catch on to Robert's scheme.
You don't want to even answer her calls, and so after so long, a woman gonna get fed up, and she gonna cut you off.
Maybe the last conversation Nicole had with her grandfather was alluding to this potential confrontation. Maybe she was finally going to cut Robert out of her life.
Based on Robert's own statement, Investigators believe he picked Nicole up from her grandfather's house on the afternoon of December 12, 2016.
Hey, so, you got that money I asked for?
No, I'm not giving you any more money.
What you mean?
You already took all my money. Get a job.
Nicole, she's real feisty. So he might have said something to her in the car and she gonna smack back.
She's decided to walk away, to stand up for herself, and to not deal with this abusive relationship.
She must have got right back at him with something he said. Maybe he just flipped out.
Go be a man.
Overcome with rage, detectives speculate that Robert wrapped his hands around Nicole's throat.
Get off me!
What happened?
He chokes her to death, and it all happens in front of Isaiah.
He's a monster. How could you take somebody's life in front of their child?
Once Nicole was dead, Robert realized he had to get rid of her body.
Now he has to cover his tracks. And so he takes Isaiah to the fire department. He takes her remains, he puts it into the basement of this apartment building.
To find her in this grave, in this tomb of a building, this is something that undoubtedly will remain with me for the rest of my life.
But before Robert is sentenced for his crimes, a new piece of evidence emerges that casts his actions in an even more despicable light.
A year before Nicole was murdered, she had been raped by an unknown assailant. That rape kit was eventually processed by the Michigan State Lab.
There was his semen in that rape kit.
I don't believe Nicole knew that Robert was the one who raped her.
He raped her before, and you still sought her out.
The fact that this man victimized her twice is so disgusting. He's pure evil.
On January 15th, 2019, Robert is sentenced to 15 to 30 years in prison as part of his plea deal.
He deserved what he got. He deserved more than what he got.
I just felt like, no, that's not enough. That's not enough time.
The way you tortured her, I feel like you should go through the same torture.
Robert is never charged in connection with Nicole's 2015 sexual assault.
That was very, very, very sickening to me. That they was only giving him charged with her murder, not the rape, because they couldn't detect it until after she was missing.
To honor Nicole, that same month, her friends and family hold a vigil at the abandoned building where her body was found.
We got the visual together because we wanted her soul to rest. And a lot of people turned out. And it felt good. It felt so good.
I was happy and I was sad at the same time. I was happy that we was able to close that chapter. I was sad because that was my best friend.
We couldn't let that building stay there. My dad worked very hard on getting that building torn out.
We was praising the Lord. The very joyous time. We were all happy to see the building go.
Today, Nicole's son Isaiah is being raised by her cousin, Shannon.
He's doing real good in school. He's bright.
She'd finally left her tiny hometown behind.
The lure of the bright city lights are appealing.
She was eager to start college.
She was definitely going places.
But her dreams wouldn't get far.
They told us that she had been shot.
I was shocked. I didn't believe it.
I just fell out onto the ground.
It hurts, man. That's our only daughter.
Was she a random victim of urban violence?
It was maybe a drive-by shooting or something along those lines.
The city does have a gang problem.
Was the big city simply more than she could handle?
She was naive in a sense.
There can be this sort of adrenaline rush.
Or did this small-town girl have secrets?
Well, what happens when the good girl meets the bad boy? She was gonna end up in jail or hurt really bad.
You ain't gonna shoot?
October 15th, 2017. It's Sunday morning in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, a town of 50,000 that's about as close as Southeast Mississippi comes to a big city.
Hattiesburg is actually the 5th largest city in the state.
Life in Mississippi is pretty similar to like other rural southern states. People are very family oriented.
People know everybody. In some of these small towns, you can leave your doors unlocked. Leave your windows open.
But Hattiesburg isn't like most of rural Mississippi. And a little before noon that Sunday, 27-year-old Tracy Bullock makes a panicked call to Lamar County 911.
911, what's her emergency?
Yes, my
Tracy stated that his girlfriend was shot.
Where is she shot?
She got shot in the head.
He said that they need to hurry up because she needed attention.
I'll send first responders to you now.
When a call comes into 911, there's a shooting or a robbery or something that's happening right then and there, it becomes a code 1, a priority, so they try to get officers there as fast as they can.
But will they get there in time to save 19-year-old Davisha Harris?
Hurry, please, hurry, she's bleeding. Davisha.
Before moving to Hattiesburg, Davisha Harris spent most of her life in tiny Gloucester, Mississippi. Population, 897.
The town has got like 8, 9 stop signs and no red lights.
We have just one grocery store. We have maybe 3 gas stations, and that's it.
The third of 4 children, Davisha was the only daughter.
All of them spoiled, but Davisha was the spoilest, I do believe. She would probably get maybe more gifts than the other kids. Her mother, Tasha, my wife, always say it's daddy's girl. Yeah, that's daddy's girl, but when it comes down to my wife, anywhere my wife went, she was right along with her. Or she was gonna fall out crying because she couldn't go.
Davisha and I, we were very close. Pretty much we could talk about anything. She could come to me with anything.
She was always a happy-go-lucky young lady. Just beautiful inside and out.
And nearly everyone in their tiny town agreed.
She was very popular among her peers. Even adults knew Davisha in the community. She knew the grandmother, she knew the mother, she knew the cousins, even the out-of-town relatives. People that we didn't even know existed, Davisha knew them.
Davisha was the type of person, you go down the road, she allowed to let the window down and open the car door, hey, Lucy! That's the type of person she was, all over town.
She was a person that saw the beauty in everyone.
But what Davisha enjoyed most was making others laugh.
She was the jokester of the family, life of the party. She actually won class clown in her senior year.
You can't even get mad at her because as soon as you look at her, I bust out laughing. That was our relationship.
But despite her vibrant personality, Davisha was anything but worldly.
Davisha's parents sheltered her in a lot of ways.
Davisha rarely went anywhere. If she did, it was usually with me. She got a little older, we gave her a little room, but it wasn't very much.
She was not allowed to date while in high school.
Which may explain why after graduation, Davisha couldn't wait to go out on her own.
She was supposed to leave in August to go to community college here in Hattiesburg, but she came to me and her dad actually maybe 2 days after she graduated and said she wanted to go to summer school. I think she graduated May the 20th, and she left on May the 31st from home to Hattiesburg.
And once she was in the big city of Hattiesburg, there was no looking back.
Gloucester is like 900 people compared to 50,000 people in a town like Hattiesburg. For people like Davisha, who grow up in small towns like that, the lure of the bright city lights are appealing.
She was a small town girl looking to start her life as an independent adult just to see what the big city has to offer.
Davisha quickly came into her own.
She enjoyed going to college and working at a call center. She did well in both. She was a productive citizen. She was.
She also had big plans for her future.
Her mom is a nurse, so she always talked about being a nurse.
following in her mom's footsteps.
She was planning on transferring into the nursing program.
She was definitely going places.
And she wasn't going alone. By the time she started her second year in college, she'd met Tracy Bullock.
It was her first serious romantic relationship.
She actually met him through a friend she met while attending college.
He was older and wasn't a student.
So what you going to school for?
I want to be a nurse like my mom.
He was very charismatic, charming.
And he was more than happy to show Davisha around town.
That was a sense of relief, like I'm not going through this alone. I find this guy that I've connected with and can kind of navigate life with, and that made her happy.
But no amount of guidance could steer Davisha clear of danger.
In a frantic call to 911, Tracy said Davisha's been shot.
Hurry, please, hurry, she's bleeding.
First responders race to the scene. But there's little they can do for Davisha.
Police, help her! From your hand!
They found the victim with a apparent gunshot wound to the head.
When they checked her vitals, Davisha was already dead.
She's gone.
That's a tragedy, tragedy.
And according to Tracy, it was completely random.
He said a vehicle was driving through and actually shot up the apartment.
That was just shooting up the place.
He was saying that it could have potentially been gang violence.
19-year-old Davisha Harris had moved to the big city to get a leg up on life.
She was eager to start college and get a job, and she did both when she moved here to Hattiesburg.
She also entered her first serious relationship with 27-year-old Tracy Bullock.
That was a lot of new transitions for a young person, and so to have someone that was older, much more experienced, made her happy.
But on October 15th, 2017, her young life, so full of promise, would end in tragedy.
Lamar County Sheriff Office received a call from 911.
Yes, my girlfriend just
Tracy called to say that Davisha had just been shot.
Hurry, please, hurry, she's bleeding.
By the time police arrived, she was already dead.
She's gone.
News of Davisha's murder quickly reaches her family.
My son called and said that her neighbor had messaged him through Facebook and told him that Davisha had been shot. And by the time I got up, he was calling right back and saying she was gone. She was dead. And at that point, I just fell out onto the ground.
While Davisha's family rushes to the apartment for answers, homicide detectives arrive at the scene and start to piece together what happened.
They had the victim, who of course suffered from an apparent gunshot wound, so they know the firearm was involved, but there was none at the scene. That makes it a little more difficult because you want to have that murder weapon.
They do locate Davisha's cell phone, however.
The phone was protected by a passcode.
They bagged and sent it to the crime lab so they could hopefully gain access to whatever was in the phone.
Sometimes that takes a little while to break into it.
Then, once their brief survey of the scene is complete, detectives turn to Davisha's boyfriend, Tracy, who was waiting outside the apartment.
He had been waiting in the back of the squad car ever since the first officers arrived on the scene.
As a detective, the first thing you want to do is talk to witnesses.
They told me she was dead.
I'm sorry, sir.
Do you want to tell us what happened?
Yes, I saw the whole thing.
He said he heard tires squeal, and when he looked out the window, he saw a car coming down the street.
The passenger window rolled down, but I didn't see a gun.
However, according to Tracy, he did hear the shots.
Somebody was doing a drive-by shooting.
Could you see who was in the vehicle?
No. I didn't see anybody.
Do you have a license plate number?
No. Soon as they started shooting, I hit the floor.
For detectives, it sounds like an all too familiar scenario.
Despite being a city of less than 50,000, Hattiesburg does have a gang problem.
It's kind of the central location between Mobile, Jackson, and New Orleans.
A lot of the drug trafficking between those larger cities passes through Hattiesburg.
But if this was a drive-by, who was the intended target?
Davisha was not one to be known for running around with gangs or any kind of criminal behavior.
She was a good girl, going to college.
Was she simply in the wrong place at the wrong time? Or was she with the wrong person?
While detectives were talking to Tracy, officers ran a search on his name in police records.
In doing interviews with witnesses, it's common to want to check their background just to see who you're talking to.
When the officer enters his name into the computer, something pops.
He was wanted on a warrant in Macomb from where he originally from.
They were looking for him anyway.
Hey, detectives. You're aware you got a warrant out for your arrest? Trans, mind your back.
What you doing?
He was arrested on the scene for violation of probation.
Detectives figured it was a way to keep tabs on him until they fully understood his involvement in the shooting.
The squad car carrying Tracy into custody has barely pulled away when Davisha's parents arrive on the scene.
Where's my baby? He was gone by the time we got there. And I tried to make my way into the apartment to see my daughter, but they wouldn't let me.
They stopped us. They didn't want us to go in the apartment.
You try to be compassionate and explain to them that you're going to do everything that you can, and hopefully you can get to some answers at the end of the day, but it's still tough.
Once I figured out how bad it was, I'm glad I didn't. I didn't want to see my daughter like that, the situation where it was.
I want to remember like she was, you know.
At the scene, detectives try to interview Davisha's parents, but they're too distraught for a formal statement.
Emotionally, it was tough because that's our only daughter.
No parents expect to outlive your children. No one expects to have to bury their child.
But when Davisha's oldest brother arrives at the apartment, he agrees to speak with police.
Where's Tracy?
The first thing he asked is, where's Tracy?
We have him in custody.
They had arrested Tracy at that time under other charges, though.
She'll be trying him for murder.
Why is that?
He was not too fond of Tracy.
In fact, Davisha's brother said he'd had a tense encounter with Tracy just a few weeks earlier.
I wish he'd have whooped his ass.
Davisha Harris's brother has told the detectives investigating her murder that he wouldn't be surprised if her boyfriend, Tracy Bullock, had something to do with it.
At this point, police already had Tracy in custody, but that arrest had nothing to do with the murder investigation.
He was arrested for a warrant that he had out.
However, detectives suspect Tracy may have been the true target of Davisha's killer.
She died in what Tracy described as a drive-by shooting.
Why do you think he's involved?
The guy's bad news.
Although, according to Davisha's brother, he'd only met Tracy once.
It was just 2 weeks before the murder.
He had a cell phone charger that Davisha wanted to borrow.
He lives in Hattiesburg as well, and he was gonna take her charger.
He just went to her home just to see if she was there to drop it off.
That's when Davisha's brother noticed their mother's car in the parking lot.
She had borrowed my car because we had to change a flat out on her car.
She'd gotten a flat while she was back home in Gloucester over the weekend.
Being such a small town, there wasn't no repair shop there to take care of it, so we just switched cars to let her come back to Hattiesburg to come to school and work.
But when her brother noticed someone was smoking in the car, he was furious.
He's wondering what's going on when he saw this stranger sitting in his mother's car smoking marijuana.
He was sitting in the car smoking dope, chilling with the air on like he owned it.
My oldest son, he actually recorded, sitting in the car with the windows up and stuff. And he sent us a picture back to tell us what the guy was doing in the car, and he wasn't pleased with it.
Oh! Hey, what are you doing?
so Davisha's brother confronted Tracy.
Not that he knew who Tracy was at the time.
No one in the family knew about the relationship.
None of us had met him officially, met him, so we didn't know his name, He opened the door and asked him to get out the car and asked him what was he doing, smoking marijuana and music up loud, blasting.
Who the hell are you? This is my mom's car. Well, you best to get the running to her.
When we got him out of it, the dude was still kind of disrespectful.
He got out of the car and proclaimed that it was his girlfriend's car. He can do whatever he wants to do.
That's how he found out who he was.
I don't care who you are. Don't be smoking in my mom's car. You gonna make me?
He and my oldest son did have some words.
Tracy, it's okay. It's okay.
In the midst of those words, Davisha came and got in between them.
I don't know. She didn't want to see his brother go to jail or was in love with this fool. I don't know.
Davisha's brother says he'd let it go.
I guess since he's my sister's boyfriend, he kind of had permission.
Before he left, he did have a word with his sister.
That brother was like, sister, are you sure this is what you want?
The behavior that my son has saw that wasn't acceptable to any of us,
He was smoking weed and, doing the things that they didn't care to be around.
I'm not a baby anymore.
I know.
I can look after myself. Go inside.
Davisha felt like that he just didn't want her with anybody, but that wasn't the case, in that scenario. That wasn't the case. It was what he was doing.
So that's why you think he had something to do with it?
Yeah.
It's just a hunch.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, something ain't right.
Detectives don't entirely disagree, but their suspicion of Tracy is based on something more concrete than him smoking marijuana or being disrespectful to Davisha's brother.
Despite Tracy's claim that Davisha was killed in a drive-by, there was no evidence to support that.
There were no bullet holes, no shell casings.
Not a single one.
It didn't make any sense.
He didn't even try to even come up with a plausible lie.
Detectives investigating Davisha Harris's homicide suspect her death wasn't due to a drive-by shooting, as her boyfriend Tracy Bullock claimed.
There were no bullet holes in the couple's apartment building.
Detectives couldn't find any shell casings in the street either.
When they canvassed the neighbors, none of them said anything about a car driving through and shooting things up.
The evidence don't support there was any kind of drive-by.
Which means that Tracy has some explaining to do.
From the crime scene, detectives head back to the county jail, where Tracy is waiting in a holding cell.
Detectives had already taken him into custody for an outstanding warrant.
When confronted with the inconsistencies between his drive-by story and the conditions at the crime scene, Tracy admits that he'd lied.
Okay, man, it wasn't a drive-by shooting. It wasn't, okay?
Well, why'd you say it was?
Because I know how y'all work.
He didn't tell the truth because he had this distrust for the police.
Mississippi has its fair share of challenges as it relates to racial issues around policing.
Okay, so who shot her then?
I don't know.
Tracy says that instead of a drive-by, it had all started with a knock at their door.
You expecting somebody?
Nope.
He said that when he opened the door, there was a man on their doorstep with a gun.
Tracy said he ducked and slammed the door.
And the shooter didn't try to come in?
No. He must have ran off.
The way Tracy told the story, it sounded like someone tried to put a hit out on him.
But according to Tracy, the would-be hitman missed their target.
Davisha! Oh my God.
But you don't know who the shooter was?
Dude had a hoodie on.
Detectives aren't sure if he's lying about the shooter's identity.
Given his criminal record, there may be a connection that Tracy doesn't want the detectives digging into.
Or is it simply his drive-by shooting story all over again?
The passenger window rolled down, but I didn't see a gun.
The police catch him in the lie. His story changes. Okay, somebody came to the door, knocked on the door, and he was shooting at me, but it was nothing to substantiate that.
The next day, when detectives finally sit down with Davisha's parents, they have no doubt that Tracy is lying about the mysterious hitman.
They saw the red flags. They had the concerns in the weeks, the months leading up to her death. And so for them, it was like, no, we know who is responsible.
So, what sort of red flags?
Well, first of all, her finances, for one thing.
When she get paid on Fridays, she'll provide everything she needed up to the time for her to get paid again. But we noticed where she would come home on Fridays, she wouldn't have money to get back to Hattiesburg on Sunday.
When you taking food out, I'll freeze the refrigerator, take it back. You working, why you need all this here?
She didn't respond at all, She didn't have anything much to say.
But the answer became clear a couple of weeks before the homicide.
That's when Davisha's brother found out she had a boyfriend.
We still didn't know his name at that point, but he was sitting in my car, smoking marijuana with the windows up, with the music on loud.
It didn't give her parents a good impression of Tracy.
They got to figure that, he was using her.
She started saying, I want you to meet him, and that's when I started questioning her about who is he, where does he work? And when she gave me those answers, I told her I wouldn't be interested in, because he was much older than she was, and he didn't have a job, so I'm not interested.
Just meet him. I know you'll like him. I don't think so.
Mom! He didn't fit the standards of what we had raised her for, and what we had raised her around, and what her dad showed her what a man was supposed to be. That's what I told her up front.
I told her, Davisha, I don't like him, I don't like what he's doing.
There wasn't the kind of boyfriend that she would want to get involved with. There was going to be one or two things, trouble where she was going to end up in jail with him, by being caught by the police or being hurt really bad.
Mom, I knew you would say that.
I think she knew I wasn't going to be pleased with it.
It may have also been what attracted Davisha to a bad boy like Tracy in the first place.
She was naive in a sense, because we had sheltered her so much. She hadn't been introduced to any of those things.
Young ladies that have been somewhat sheltered for so long, when they get a taste of freedom, that appeal of being with someone that I know my parents would not necessarily approve of can be very captivating. And so there can be this sort of adrenaline rush, or there can be this sort of thrill, whether it's the healthiest decision or not.
But while her parents didn't approve of Tracy, they tell detectives they didn't push Davisha to end the relationship.
I knew if I'd have stayed and hopped on the situation, it was just gonna push her closer to him. So I was trying to give her the time to see what was going on, wake up to what was going on.
Despite that, as her father predicted, Davisha had continued to see Tracy.
I think it strengthened their relationship at the time, and it actually became a us against them. I think that was the turning point in why he felt so comfortable with some of the behaviors that he demonstrated thereafter, because he had psychological control and emotional control over her at that point.
And now that Davisha is dead, her parents are convinced that they'd been right about Tracy.
Those parents did, I'm sure, what they thought was best at the time. Again, there were red flags.
I was considering death by somebody else hurting her, being caught up in crossfire with him some kind of way, It never came to me as him actually killing her.
But now you think he did.
Yes.
But why would he do that?
Because she finally came to her senses. She wanted to leave him.
I believe she told him that his honey hole is dried up. It's time for him to go.
They think Bullock was not willing to accept rejection, and he took things to the extreme.
I think that's exactly what happened. I go to the grave with that.
It's a compelling theory. Only there's one problem.
There was no evidence that Tracy had been violent or threatening toward Davisha.
But that all changes when the crime lab finally cracks the passcode on Davisha's phone.
She had everything in her phone with the ARG and everything else that was going on.
Hey, come here.
It's an indication that she knew that this was an issue. She knew that, like, this is an unsafe situation.
Look at this.
Because one video taken less than 48 hours before the murder showed Tracy with a gun.
It is Friday night, pointing it toward her, you know.
You ain't gonna shoot?
Detectives investigating Davisha Harris's homicide have just uncovered what appears to be serious evidence against her boyfriend, Tracy Bullock, on Davisha's phone.
They found a video with Mr. Bullock pointing a gun at the victim.
Davisha had recorded the video less than 48 hours before her murder.
This absolutely demonstrates someone who was incredibly reckless, careless, impulsive, and honestly had no regard for Davisha's life. Even if the intent in that moment was not to pull the trigger, to put the gun in her face, that was an act to intimidate, an act to really incite fear.
But does that mean he'd eventually follow through on his threat?
Davisha's parents believe Tracy killed her because she told him she was going to leave him.
I believe she actually woke up and seen the light. She stepped to him and told him it was over, gone, where you gonna go or whatever.
When someone decides to leave an abusive relationship, that's when things are most dangerous.
For many abusers, experiencing that sense of lack of control can feel incredibly threatening for them. And that's when we see like the lashing out. That's when we see the very impulsive behaviors, things becoming physical, things becoming violent and aggressive.
Did that explain why Davisha recorded the incident?
She could have been thinking about needing evidence or documentation for a potential restraining order. Like if she had made up in her mind that this is it, I have to end this relationship. She could have been thinking very future focused. I'm going to have to put some things in place legally to protect myself. That's the first thing that comes to mind when I think about the fact that she had video.
Was it too little too late? For the moment, detectives are still far from proving it.
The case against Tracy was entirely circumstantial.
But it does get stronger when detectives receive the results of Davisha's autopsy and confirm the cause of death.
According to the medical examiner, it was a close contact wound to the head.
There's some stippling around the wound.
Stippling is where unburnt powder strikes the skin around the gunshot wound.
That tells them that it was up close and personal.
Which isn't how Tracy described the shooting in his second statement.
He said Davisha was some distance behind him when he ducked out of the would-be assassin's way.
After the autopsy was done, all of those things just proved to be untrue.
Most important for investigators, the autopsy also recovers the bullet that killed Davisha.
If they can find a weapon, they can use that ballistic evidence to match it back to that gun.
The caliber of the bullet appeared to be from the same gun that Tracy had in the video, but without ballistics testing, detectives couldn't prove it was the same gun.
They can solve this case possibly with the circumstantial evidence that they have, but there's nothing like cold hard evidence, that smoking gun, so that's what they need to find.
Until they do, all Davisha's family can do is wait and gather to say goodbye.
The homegoing celebration, it was more people there that I'd never seen before in my life. I mean, the church was full.
I think our church at that time held like 400 or 500. It was full. We had chairs down the aisle.
There was not a seat vacant for anybody. Like, it was a full house. There were people in the aisles. There were people standing up in the back of the church.
And that just showed me that she was well loved and We're respected. You know, only 19 years old, they have all these type of people showing up.
The outpouring of love for Davisha is little solace, knowing that the man they believe is her killer is yet to be charged with murder.
The amount of frustration and just pain and anger that they felt in that moment, I'm sure, was unbearable. It's like, no, this is the person who did this, a person who needs to be held accountable, like he's right here.
The guy took her life. The videos are self-explanatory.
You could actually see where he had the gun that Friday night.
But where was the gun now? Detectives are at a loss for where to begin their search.
At this point in the investigation, the detectives, they don't have that smoking gun. That's a key piece of evidence that's missing.
Fortunately, detectives won't have to search hard to find it.
All this time, Tracy was still in jail for the probation violation.
And that could prove his undoing after a cellmate of Tracy's at the Lamar County Jail reaches out to the detectives.
It's not uncommon for that to happen, and sometimes we just have good luck.
The informant said that while they shared a cell, Tracy had talked about Davisha's murder.
He was telling me about how he killed this girl.
He gives them a lot of information about the case, and some of the information is information only the person that did the murder would know.
Including what Tracy had done with the murder weapon.
He told me where he hid it.
A jailhouse informant has just told detectives that Tracy Bullock confessed to him all about how he'd killed his girlfriend, Davisha Harris.
He's in jail, telling his cellmate what he did and what he did with the murder weapon.
And this other inmate decided to talk to investigators and give them information. And the reason why he would want to do that is to possibly get some time off his own sentence.
It's a huge break in the case, if it's the truth.
Following up on the tip, detectives searched where the informant said Tracy had disposed of the gun.
And he gave the exact location where the gun would be.
It appeared to be a match for the gun Tracy had in Davisha's cell phone video.
But is it really the murder weapon?
When the crime lab compared the gun with the bullet recovered during Davisha's autopsy, it was a match.
It's news Davisha's family has been waiting to hear.
The investigators actually called us and told us they had found the weapon. They knew that he killed Davisha, so it was going to actually be murder.
As a detective, the best thing about this job is being able to come to them and give them that closure.
That sense of closure proved short-lived, however.
The prosecutor felt like the case wasn't strong enough for a murder conviction.
Rather than pursue murder charges, they offered Tracy the opportunity to plead to manslaughter.
Manslaughter is something that happened in the heat of the moment. It could be an argument, an altercation, which caused the suspect to kill the victim.
In other words, if you were in the heat of passion, again, just based on human being, human nature, you're not in your right mind.
Tracy takes the deal, admitting that he shot Davisha in the middle of an argument.
I'm done. You need to leave.
For what?
I'm done. I'm done with this and I'm done with you.
I ain't going nowhere.
Oh, okay. Big man with a gun.
Oh, you don't think I'll do it?
I know you won't.
He was someone that was spiraling. He was rapidly unraveling.
For Davisha's family, Tracy's plea deal is a slap in the face.
A lot of emotions was tied up. Anger, disappointment, just pain, you know. It was just unrealistic pain. It was like just almost living that heartache over again, that initial heartache.
When your loved one has been in a situation where they've had that person brandish a gun, threaten them when there's video footage to show it, it's kind of difficult to accept that he was just angry or jealous in the moment.
You took her life. And to me, in my opinion, it was premeditated.
At Tracy's sentencing hearing, Davisha's family makes it clear They consider the plea deal a travesty of justice.
They would read the impact statement to him of how we actually felt about it, about this whole situation. And he was just a little punk-ass, too scared to even turn his head and look and listen. I told him, won't you turn your head, look at me while I'm talking to you, mother. But he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
He was sitting there shaking his dreads and kind of laughing at us, smiling at us, like, I beat this case, like, I've got over on y'all. Y'all not getting what y'all thought y'all was gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Because we would always think justice will be revealed.
Will a father's impassioned statement and Tracy's apparent contempt for the process have an impact on the judge?
The judge himself, he asked the DA 3 times, is this all you charge this man with all the evidence I see here? He asked the DA 3 times. The DA said yes.
And in the end, the judge honors the terms of the plea and sentences Tracy to 15 years.
He was let off lightly, and it was not fair. I was very angry when I heard about it.
I have nothing for the legal system now. It's just, they just let us down. It's like we didn't matter to them, that she didn't matter, and she does matter.
We're talking about a 19-year-old young lady who had her entire life ahead of her, who was just starting to really establish herself, really starting to understand what it even means to be independent and to be an adult, and to have her life senselessly taken away from her. I don't think she nor her family received justice.
He still gets to get out, create a family, and just live his life, and she wasn't able to do that.
The Harris family is going to be affected forever and ever.
I'm coping, day by day I'm coping, but you never forget it.
Although Davisha's parents do hope that her story will allow others to avoid a similar fate.
Someone starts to physically abuse you, verbally abuse you emotionally, you need to get out the relationship as fast as you can. Tell somebody.
When you see these red flags, when you see these warning signs, take them to heart.
Let somebody know, if it's not your parents or your siblings, somebody you respect that's older. Let them know so this situation won't happen again.
But they also see Davisha's story as a cautionary tale for parents.
Teach your child to always be mindful of the company they keep or the individual they want to date.
Her being naive played a part, not realizing what she was stepping into, the danger what she was stepping into.
Because what you lose can be more than any family can bear.
She's a sweet person, it's truly missed. Truly missed by all.
She wasn't here for a long time, but she definitely left her mark.
And she was just love, that's all. She was love.